What's good, y'all? It's your boy Tay Watt. You can call me Tay, whichever one you prefer, man. And conference finals is set. We got the conference finals set in stone. We one step closer to the NBA finals, and we got basically a repeat of the bubble. Lakers versus Nuggets for the West, Boston versus the Heat in the East. And we got makings for two great series to take us to the NBA finals. But before I even get into that, do got to address some things right now, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers. First and foremost, got to get this off my chest before anything. And it's not really more so of me talking about personal grievances or my personal issues, because I do have some, but it's more so just about what I've seen from Philly and how ultimately their season once again ended in complete disappointing fashion. In a year where we thought the Philadelphia 76ers were going to take that jump into contender status, you have an MVP, you got James Harden, you have Tyrese Maxey, who's blossoming into being a great young guard in the league. And ultimately, it resulted in another blown series lead led by Doc Rivers on the sidelines and, getting sent home in the second round again. And they were in total position to be able to win and lock up this series. I mean, at the end of the day, they was up 3-2. They was up 3-2 on them boys in Boston, and you had a situation where you had the luck of the basketball gods on your side, and really it's no excuses. I have none. You're up 3-2. You up 3-2 on Boston with a closeout game in Philly, and ultimately they couldn't finish the job. They had a lead and they blew that lead, blew the game 6, and took it back to Boston. They had a chance, come out first half. They're going to the half only down 3 points. And the first time you don't get so lucky because you get 25 points from Jason Tatum in the first half. And throughout this series, that has not been the case. He hasn't really been playing well early in games at all this series. Even though he's heated up late, he had his slow starts in Philly for whatever reason. They were not able to capitalize off of that. But the things that really stood out to me the most, which makes for a very interesting summer for Philly approaching, is the fact that, number one, you don't get an MVP performance out of the MVP of the NBA, which I'm not going to get into. Secondly, James Harden is showing time and time again that he is not the guy that you need him to be in the playoffs. And there's a significant drop-off. Even with where he's been offensively over these last couple years, somehow he's managed to be worse than that in the playoffs. And then thirdly, Doc Rivers is just simply has not and still isn't able to get over the hump and get past that second round of the playoffs. And it's disappointing to see, because this time I feel like a lot of people thought that this was the year that Philly was going to go ahead and make that jump and make it happen, and they couldn't. In a game 7, you get 24 points combined between James Harden and Joel Embiid. It was bad. It was bad. To say the absolute least, it was bad. To see the guy that's MVP, which to me, my MVP is in Denver, but that's a different conversation for a different day. To see the guy that's been rewarded or awarded as the MVP go out and he's just playing passive, really from the jump, from the start of the game, the effort just wasn't there at all. It wasn't. He showed no fight. He showed no dog in him. He just kind of allowed everything that happened to happen. He didn't really assert himself. The only time that I seen Joel Embiid really assert himself or attempt to assert himself was a period in, I want to say, the second quarter, where Robert Williams and Al Horford was taken out of the game. And actually, I'm lying. Al Horford was taken out of the game, but Robert Williams was not the primary matchup on defense versus Embiid. Marcus Smart was. That's the only time I seen Joel Embiid look like he want to get into the post. Outside of that, it looked like he wanted no parts. He settled for a lot of jumpers. He, just allowed himself to get doubled, not really try to make anything out of anything. And to see Tyrese Maxey have 10 points in the first half and he wasn't featured in the second half, they tried to force feed Embiid and it just didn't work. Harden wasn't making good decisions. He was turning the ball over, wasn't scoring, wasn't really doing much of anything. And ultimately, we seen Jason Tatum go out and break that scoring record for the most points in a game 7 after Steph just did it 2 weeks ago. And he heard the criticism. And trust me, mine was loud. And if you know me, I'm not light on Jason Tatum at all, because for him to get the praise, I would like to see him perform more consistently in these big games. And there's still more that needs to be done, but last night he got it done. I can't. I have nothing to say. It's not really not even about him at this point in time. But the Sixers got some things to figure out, and that's really the most I'm gonna say about it. I could really go on and make a whole video about the Sixers, but I don't want to do that today. I've gotten on them enough throughout this playoffs, and I mean at this point they got to make some changes. I will say I didn't like to see Embiid go up in the podium at the end of the game and talk about how him and Harden need more. The other players gotta figure out how they can get better. It just gave a lack of accountability, and then also to kind of see him playing around and smiling, quoting Giannis about his steps to the success or whatever. Very, very unserious, to say the absolute least. But moving on from that, we got 2 great series coming up, with a rematch between Denver and the Lakers, and a rematch between Boston and Miami. And for the Denver series, personally, I got Denver in about 6, personally. But it's going to be a great series. We got an elite offense versus an elite defense currently in the NBA. And as much as I have my things I like to say about the Lakers, I got to keep my biases aside. And the Lakers are a good defensive team, and they're gonna have their hands full with Denver, especially coming off of a game where they absolutely lit up Phoenix. They offer some rest. Lakers got some rest too, so both teams are gonna come in here very rested. What I'm interested to see in that though is that AD versus Jokic matchup. We're gonna see how the Lakers deal with having a big man who is the nucleus for everything that they have going on in that team. Because let's face it, Kevon Looney, JaMychal Green, Draymond, they all serve their roles, but they're not Jokic. And you got Jamal Murray, and he's playing at a high level. Everybody else, you add KCP to the equation, who's been shooting the hell out of the basketball. And quite frankly, whoever Aaron Gordon has been guarding hasn't been scoring. On the flip side, we're going to see how Denver decides to scheme up to match up with Anthony Davis. And also, you cannot rule out LeBron James. He still goes out there and get it when he has to. But the other guys for the Lakers are going to be very important. D'Angelo Russell's going to have to come out and give him some great minutes and some nice scoring output. Dennis Schroeder, he's going to have to come and give some scoring output. They're going to have to get a lot from other guys. Austin Reeves. It's going to have to be a collective effort for LA to go out and win this series. Denver has to keep them off of the free throw line because they do a lot of damage there. And Denver, I feel like it's going to be very important for them to go out and transition and try to run, ultimately to make sure the game is played at their pace. So I personally feel like LA is outmatched in this series. I think that, they're definitely still going to compete. It's going to be a tough series, don't get me wrong. But Denver is the best team that's left in the playoffs, really. They have the best team. So that's going to be fun. And seeing Jimmy Butler versus Boston, that's the best way I could put it. Seeing Jimmy versus Boston, to see him on Revenge Time, I know Jimmy is going to put on a show. We got to see if Jason Tatum can continue to play at the level that he did. Now, I'm not expecting him to go out and get 50 a night or anything, but I do want to see him around his average. He did average 30 this season. So we're going to see as far as what Spo has up his sleeve to kind of try to slow him down. Also, Jaylen Brown is going to have to continue to be consistent as well for them. A lot of the other guys have been showing up. They've been getting a lot from Al Horford on defense. They've been getting a lot from Marcus Smart shooting the ball and making plays and forcing turnovers. The Celtics have gotten into a nice rhythm over these last 2 games. So they're on short rest. That could be at their benefit. Who knows? We gonna see. But the X factor for Miami, now I'm not sure if Tyler Hero is going to be coming back or not. I haven't really heard too much as far as what his injury looks like. I did know he broke his hand. That's pretty tough, especially being a guy who has to go out and he's a shooter. So we don't know what that situation is like. But to be honest, they low-key kind of look better without him. Duncan Robinson has found his flow again. He's shooting the ball again. Max Strus has been great. But it's really going to come down to Miami of what Bam Adebayo are we going to get, because we've seen where he go out there and he hoop. That last game against the Knicks, he left his imprint on the game. Absolutely. And he's going to have to do that every single game. I don't see this series going any less than 7. And Bam Adebayo is going to have to be great. And he talks a lot about, how he wants it. He needs more shots. and where he is defensively amongst everybody. And now you have the perfect time to back that up and get a rematch against Boston. Honestly, y'all were a shot away from going to the finals last year, and y'all got a chance to make up for it. So I'm very excited to see what this is going to look like, man. That first game is tomorrow between Denver and the Lakers. It's going to be exciting. And before we even do that, before that game comes on, we got the lottery. So basketball gods, if you hear me, if you see me, if you hear me manifesting, you hear me wishing, man, some way, please, by some way, somehow, find a way to get Chicago in that top 4. Preferably number 1. But hey, I'm not asking for too much. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a Bulls fan at the end of the day. I have no real say in how all of this goes on. But yeah, please find a way to get us that number 1 overall pick. All right. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing that out there real quick. But I just want to keep this I want to keep it short. It's at 11 minutes, but I just want to tap in with y'all real quick about, we got the Western Conference Finals set, Eastern Conference Finals is set, state NBA Finals, you know what I'm saying? It's about to get real now, Everybody's saying it's a bubble rematch, The Lakers don't have the same team that was in the bubble, but that's neither here nor there. So get ready for some great basketball, some great high-level basketball, man. That's what we've been waiting for all year since November, October, whatever. We finally here, man. It sucks to not have basketball on every single day anymore, but hey, the games is more meaningful. They're going to hit harder now. So make sure y'all tap the like. Make sure y'all tap the subscribe. You already know we're going to be here giving updates for these games moving forward. Already know we're going to give updates on this lottery that's going down tomorrow. Might do a live stream or something. Who knows? But make sure y'all stay tapped in. Make sure y'all keep commenting and supporting, man. Thank you for the support as always. So, again, tap the like, tap the subscribe. It's your boy Taywalk, man. Tap in with me next time. We're going to be back.